Julia, shareholders in Glencore Xstrata heard today from management. They're giving an update on the acquisition of Xstrata and how that's going and what might be achieved out of it. And there was a big rise in the estimate for synergies from the acquisition, from $500 million to $2 billion. That's a pretty substantial revision. What's going on?
Yeah, so today we had the Investor Day where Ivan Glazenberg, now the head of the merged group, had a chance to sort of say how much they can extract from synergies. So as you say, originally he touted 500 million. 450 million of that was originally going to come from the trading being combined with mining arm.
Yeah.
And they've managed to realise those synergies. And the rest was going to come from cost cuts. So that's 50 million. Now initially that was because Ivan was expecting that Mick Davis would stay in charge of the Xstrata section, but now he's taken over the whole group, so to speak. Then he's been able to extract a lot more. So the remaining sort of 1.4 billion or so is really coming out from costs being stripped out of Xstrata.
Right, so he can sort of mine Xstrata for a lot more than was envisioned initially, because Glencore has taken full control of the whole Xstrata business. Exactly.
So so that 1.4 billion sort of broken down, a lot of it is in actual genuine synergies.
Right.
So you know, there's been some taking people out at sort of the head office level, but actually sort of looking below that and into detail. Take coal, for example, where there's been about 500, 600 million in cost synergies.
Yeah.
Only a very small portion, about 10% of that, has actually come from people being cut at head office, with the rest in operating restructuring. So it's hard to know whether that's sort of genuine synergy or whether this is just costs coming out, which could have happened anyway, given the sort of turn in the mining cycle.
Right. Now, Glencore has already written down a huge slice of the acquisition cost of Xstrata. I mean, it was obviously a very expensive acquisition in the first place, although I guess Xstrata shareholders might say, looking at the $2 billion synergies that are now being extracted, not expensive enough. But Glencore wrote off, I think it was $8 billion of the acquisition cost back in its last results announcement. So there seems to be an element of sort of, you know, post-merger recalculation going on here.
Yeah, I mean, you could put it that way, definitely. So yes, they had that big write-down on Xstrata's assets, which sort of admits, okay, we overpaid from that sense, but they're clawing that a little bit of that back by saying, but look, we've been able to take all this cost out of Xstrata, which couldn't have happened necessarily unless sort of Ivan was in charge of that. So there's a little bit of an element of that, definitely.
Well, it was Investor Day at Glencore Xstrata, and they had the good news that the synergies will be probably 4 times what they were originally estimated to be from the acquisition of Xstrata. That's pretty good news. Thanks, Julia.